Now, let's go back to concept of chapter 11. So chapter 11, it is about subquery. So subquery or nested query, some type of the query that one is sitting inside of the another query, right? So one query is embedded inside of the another query. This type of this syntax subquery, it is helpful when we have very complex questions. Now, let's first introduce the concept, and then we are going to see some examples of the subquery. So subquery can be used in different clauses. For example, you can use in where clause. So here you want to start subquery in the where clause. Okay, so let's first start with the example. So let's say we know the maximum price of the product by price, right? So max by price, right? So by, right? So let's just copy and paste this here. So here I want to get the maximum buy price, right? So 103.42 is the maximum buy price. Now I want to find the detail of this product, right? So select asterisk from products where buy price, right? Buy price is equals to 103.42. So this is the information that I got from output of this, right? So here I wrote this number. Now, this is my knowledge based on this statement. Now, if I replace this knowledge by writing the original statement, we are getting the same thing, right? So this is 103.42, right? Then I replace this and put it inside of the parentheses. So this is exactly same, right? The only difference is here I replaced the subquery here. So this, whatever we have here, it is called subquery, and this one is called outer query. So this is outer query, this is inner query. So when we have parentheses, in general, the value of the parentheses are evaluated first, and then the whole statement is evaluated next, right? So that's the way it works. That means first, this value is simplified, so this becomes 103. So the line number 10 becomes where buy price equals to 103.42, and that's it. So this is one example, right? So this is example of using subquery in the where clause. Now you can use other function as well. For example, here you may say average, right? For example, you may have a similar statement and you say select asterisk from products where buy price is greater than average of the products, right? So here, instead of the max, you put greater than the average, right? So that's one more statement, right? So greater than average of the products, right? So this average is going to be a number, right? So here you are going to get a number 54. So buy price greater than 54.45. So if you look at the result, you are going to see that buy price is greater than all 54, right? So you're not going to find any less value, right? So 56 is smallest. So here we had equal, here we had the greater, and you can have a other signs, for example, greater, equal, less, and so on, right? So all levels. This is still we are talking about subquery in the work class. Another form that we can use is in, right, or membership. So if you remember in the chapter 6, we had select asterisk from a table where a column in, and then here we can have another statement and it has a column from another table, right? So here, this could be different tables, right? So this, and this column 1 could be from another table, right? So again, this is a subquery and this is outer query, and still we're using the subquery in the work class. Okay. Now, what is the example? So, customers who made purchase, right? So, we are looking for those customers that they made purchases. For example, we can say select asterisk from customers where, so here we have customer number, where customer number in, and then we can select customer number from orders, right? So this inner query returns those customers that they placed order. And then here we are getting the details of these customers that they placed order. So, right? So basically we are finding the customers that they placed order. Now, usually this structure is used to find those customers that they have not made, right? So who not made any purchases. So we are looking for this reverse. So here you put not in, right? So this is going to give us the customers that they may not, they didn't make any purchases, right? So here we found 2 customers that they did not make any purchases. If you want to use this, if you want to find this answer using the left join, that would be very complex. But here you can use a subquery to get this, okay? So that's the way it is. Now, the address subquery in the work class, and we learned that it has a structure of a greater, equal, and not in. So these are the common way of the using subquery in the work class. Now, another form of the subquery happens in the select class, right? So basically, we have select, right? A column, let's say column 1, and then comma, open parenthesis, close parenthesis from a table, right? So let's say table. Now here we have select column 1, column 2 from, let's say, table 2. So here we are putting one subquery, and this subquery returns only one column, right? So this is called subquery in the select class. And you can label this one as, column 2, for example, right? So this is subquery in the select class. And usually, this kind of subquery helpful for finding the result based on, for example, how much each customer has paid, right? So per each customer. For example, we want to find how much each customer paid, right? So when we want to find this, we would say sum of payment amount, right, from payments where customer number, let's say, is 103, for example, right? So here we are getting payment for just one customer, right? So 103. Now, if I want to get for the next customer, I just need to change this 104, 105, 106, and so on, right? So every time I need to change. So let's use this structure. So I use select and from customers, and I put C here. So this is select customer, and here I put C dot customer number. So this becomes customer numbers, and I copy here, but before copying this, I make some adjustments. So here P payments, P amounts, and then here becomes P dot customers. And I copy from all the way from this equal sign and this one. So let's organize a little bit. So, okay. So this is a subquery, and I didn't copy 103. So instead of 103, I copy this P and it replace the P by C. So here, this 103 that we had, I replaced by C dot customer number, and its value is updated from outer query. So outer query fits this number, and inner query is executed and it returns the result. So this is, they have a dependency between the outer query and query. So this type of the query is called correlated queries, that later on we are going to use a better way to write this, right? So here, for example, customer 103 has paid 22,000, for example. Customer 121 paid this one. You can relabel or give the name, for example, some amount, for example, right? So something like this, right? So because the name of this column is long, so here it is a payment of this customer order. So this is example of subquery in the select clause. Usually we do not use subquery in the select clause and from clause because there are other formats that you can use to answer the question. Usually we do not use this select clause, subquery in the select clause, but from sometimes we have to, all right? Now the next example, next type of the subquery that we have, it is a subquery in the from clause. So subquery in the from clause, basically we have select from, and we use table, right, in the from clause. Here, instead of this table, we may have select and from another table. So let me give you an example. For example, select asterisk from, and then here I put select asterisk from customers, right? And here I need to relabel this table. So this is a table. Whenever we have a subquery in the from clause, I have to relabel. Now, here basically I'm not doing anything here. Just I'm returning all the columns of the table of customers, and I'm again using this. So, but here you may sometimes have work clause and so on, so to get it. Now, this is, sometimes we use it, but we do not use subquery in the select clause. That's the type.